Pleasant good morning to one and all. Pleasant good Wednesday morning to all the students of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome to the midweek episode. Today, Wednesday, the 13th day of May, 2025. Welcome one and all. Welcome. Hope you had a restful night. Hope you're looking forward to a productive day and to a productive rest of the week. Welcome. Share the live. Let them know that we are on. I saw the schoolyard this morning was chock-a-block. Lots of students in the yard this morning, and I know that now that the doors are open, students are going to rush in to get the credible and valuable information. So welcome one and all. Share the live, and we are going to be with you. Today, Wednesday, the 13th day of May, 2025, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. It is indeed a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we must always give praise and thanks for whatever mercies are shown to us. So yes, here we are this Wednesday, and we are going to bring the information to you. As usual, we have lots to tell you this morning, lots of stuff to analyze, lots of information to bring to your attention. You know, we are the ones who that read between the lines. We read between the lines, and we give you a proper analysis of many of these statements that are being made by the politicians and others, right? Don't take it at face value. They come and they try to obfuscate, they try to mislead you. We are going to out them. That is what we're going to do. My colleague, Mr. Conway, CC, as he's known to us, is in the studio. He had some difficulties this morning with audio. I don't know if it has been overcome, but we'll know shortly when I bring him in. So, but for now, share the live, share and let people know that we're on this Wednesday. And as I would say to you, the thumbs up. You come in, give us the thumbs up, show your appreciation, and we are going to do our part, and you must do your part. So yes, here we are. This wonderful day, Wednesday, the 13th day of May, 2025. Good to be in the land of the living. The program was scheduled this morning just up before 7, 1 minute to 7 this morning. And as usual, you know, I think this morning we had the most student coming in at 1 minute to 7 and 7 o'clock, 7:01. Many students came in as soon as the program was scheduled there. And you know, it's encouraging to see people are just standing by for the gates to open. And when the doors are open, that people are just there. It tells us that we are doing something right. It tells us that we are doing something right, and we'll continue to do right, which is bringing the credible information to you. So we schedule at 6:59, and then the first man in, I believe the man get back the janitor work, you know. Ballet, first man in. Somebody say he's a janitor, so therefore he sleeps in the schoolyard, or he sleeps outside, and as soon as the gates are open, he's inside. So welcome back to number one position, Barlett. But immediately after, we had many people who came in at 7. Peter, Wayne from the UK, Sean from upstate New York, Marcia, Ulrich from West Dem, Marlon, the Conemarouk man, Anthony from Petersall in the East Bank of Demerara, Moses, Tessa from Florida, Dorette, Aubrey from Canada, Carlton, then we had Lyndon, Felicia, Leon, Wayne, Wayne from Queens, I think, Rosalind, John, Brian, Aubrey. They all came at 7. And shortly after, we had Magnell, Evelyn, Ezzy, Derek, Trotty is here with us, Cecile, Harold, Sandra, Pastor Smith, Colin, Kenneth, Dexter, Claire, Ricky Smith, Jack, Gaston, my squad mate from Canada, Lynette from the UK, Esla, Puran from the Essequibo Coast, Roxanne, Joan from New Amsterdam, Courtney, Russ Levi is here, Raul, you make a mistake with your number, boy. You put in an extra digit. You're saying that your number was 117452. We ain't read them numbers yet. I know it's a mistake. We all make mistakes. Ivor, Georgia, Region 11, he says. Maury is here. Terrence from Canada, 9795. Pauline, Compton, Hazel, the Angel Ridley is here. Evanlina, Sydney, Fredo is here with us. Earl, Paulette, Winston is here. And then we have Clarence, Paulette, Malcolm, Forbes, Denise, Vibert, Lawson. Then Winston came back. Stefan, Diane, Michelle is here. Francis Keith from Melanie Namashana. Pito is here. William is here. Father Masha is with us. Then we have Warren. Clifton from Paris is here. Pinky, Barbara, Anthony, Kerry. Welcome, Kerry. I hope I see you later. Marcus, Annette, Morton, George, BV Man, Bonita, Pamela from West Demerara. Then it was Anthony, John, Tallulah, Hazel, Brenda, Derek, Lucius is here with us. Ian, Winston, and Winston is from California. Bernadette, Aileen, and Bernadette is from Miami. Aileen is here. Benji from Maikoni. Umi is here. Dwayne, Karen, Michael Brower, 14126 Brower, and he is there from the British Virgin Islands. Sharon from the UK. Emerson, Jean, Carl, Abdul is here. Kevin, Melinda, Queenie, Joy, Sherwin, Michael, Selwyn, Vibert from the East Bank. The BV man, Ezekiah, there's my countryman. I'm a BV man. So BV man, Ezekiah is here with us. Patrick Rodney from the UK, 12128. Used to drive me a piece of time. Then we have Gavin, Sean, Randolph. Randolph is here. Janella, David, Amanda, Nicola, Dwayne, Henrik, Clive from the UK, 12789 is here. Marva, Maxwell, 11704 is here with us. Chicken, the man, Orion is here. Danny, 9731, Danny is here with us. Junior, Maureen, this is Valerie, Desiree from Georgia, Anthony, Siobhan, Allison, then it was Mary, Donald, Gail, Elton, Heather is here. Michael, the man from Imbai Madai, Bushman, Imbai Madai. Dion, Hope is here. Marcus, Clyde, then it was Winslow, George, 8727, and George Mars, and followed by Michael Mars. I don't know if they're related, but they came in at the same time, or 1 minute after each other. Martel, Carl, my squad mate from Arizona, 9414. Floyd is here. He's a man, 10688, Old Police. Rhonda, and again, we have Rhonda Chance at 838, followed by Rhonda Lane. Then I'm still in the house. She came shortly after. Danielle is here with us. Then it was Cheryl from New Jersey. Uncle Paul is here. Lorna. And Lorna tell me that I got our regulation number correct, 14913. And she said she worked with me in D Division and A Division. A very good mentor. I remember you working with me, Lorna. Neville is here. True Guyanese. Kurt, Mark, Grace is here with us. Smitty, 7464 Smitty. Very good former member of the force. Detective, excellent detective. Not what we have now going around as detective. They are more defective than they are detective. Royston, and we have some good ones, we have some good ones, but most of them are defective. Royston is here. Lorraine, Ashley, Phil, Raquel, welcome. Siobhan, Vashti, Lennox. Then it was Roderick, followed by Rayburn, Semple, another Semple in the house. Grantley, Cedric, Danny, Old Police, Danny, 8219 is here. So now we get 8218, Cumberbatch, 8219. Then it's good to see this older policeman in the schoolyard. Bray is here with us. Lester, Rastaman, Sandrine, Norbert. Then it was Marlon, Paul, Patricia, and Patricia is from Philadelphia. Trevor, Boo Alexander is here. Doreen, then it have Gordon, Monica, Ronald, Will is here with us. Tessa, another Tessa. Joseph, Isabella is in the house. Chilo is here. Nigel, Joseph, Andrew, Orville, Lennox, Colin, Angela, Dionarine is here, Melvin, Atisha, O'Neill, Mark, and there's Mark is here, Selwyn, John from Tennessee, Sion, Fergus is here, Neville, Valietta, then it was Delon. After Delon, in came Leroy, Margot, Marlin. Then after Marlin, it was Aubrey, there Roy, Paulette, Claudius, Anthony, and Gordon, said another Daniels. His number was 12472. And the last person in the schoolyard was Beverly, who came in at 11. And then we had the man who's usually first is here again. Edward Charles is here with us. Carlton came next. Then we have Altia, Aubrey, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And we can't continue to call us Orin. We're going to spend all morning calling it out. Some people are already annoyed with the roll call, so I don't want to go any further. But just to show you the number of students who are here waiting for us, waiting. And for the announcements, let me make the announcements first. And then, we always say we start with the sad announcements. And then we're going to move on to the happier one. Having said we start with the sad announcement, the first one I see listed here is to tell you that, remind you that this is an election year. Whether it's sad or not is to be determined. But with all the propaganda and all the false information that will come at this time, so we gotta analyze it to you. Then we have here. We told you about the death of Goodman, retired Inspector Desmond Goodman. The funeral is today. Today. I said the 14th. I said Wednesday. I had some mistake. I'm not sure. I'm going to check that back because it says Wednesday the 14th, but today is Wednesday the 13th. So I'm not sure. But the body will be viewing at Garrick Funeral Home from 2 to 1. Further viewing and tributes at Friendship Methodist Church from 1:30 to 3. And then the service will follow at 3. Then we also have, we told you about the death of retired Colonel Brenda Aaron. That funeral is on Saturday at Gorino Funeral Home, Flatlands, Brooklyn. And that, today is the 14th. Yes, I have my watch. This watch sometimes misleading me, folks. Today is the 14th, I'm saying the 13th. I might have misled you all the time, all along with the date. But something with the watch not syncing properly. So today is the 14th. So today is the funeral of Desmond, right? Desmond Goodman. Today is the 14th, right? So my apologies for that. I get it mixed up with the dates, man. But I looked at my watch, and the watch is saying the 13th. So there's some mix up there. I have to sync it. And it's a fancy watch, It's an Apple Watch, which is supposed to sync with the phone. But the phone is saying the 14th, and the watch is saying the 13th. So CC and these guys, I owe you all a drink for that. So I say in Brenda, retired Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel is Gorino on Saturday, viewing from 4 and service from 4 to 7, viewing up to 4 and service after. Then we told you to about the death of retired woman senior superintendent Waveney Allen. Funeral tomorrow, Thursday. The viewing will be at Christ Church, Waterloo Street, Georgetown. Viewing from 10 a.m. Service commences at 11, and then the interment will be at the Triumph Cemetery at 1:40, it is said. Then we have the announcement of a death of a policewoman, the death of woman Corporal Lolita Cordis of Covanjan Police Station. I think she died yesterday or sometime not so long ago. So we have that. And then let me remind you too that the today is the 425th day, 425 day since Sergeant Alex Vaughn was killed. He was killed on March 12, 2024. And until now, 425 days after, the police can't say what is the position with that investigation. I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to all the relatives, friends, and family of those deceased persons, and wish that the good Lord will give you the strength to go through this challenging time. In terms of the birthdays, before I begin, Mr. Conway, today is the birth anniversary of a student who is here. Edward Charles Isaacs, the man who came in first on Facebook or when the school door was open, he is observing a natal day today. Edward Charles Isaacs. All the best for you, my brother. I know when I passed through your name earlier, you might have thought that I had forgotten. No. You make a note. You make notes so you can't forget. And then we had recent birthdays. George Vivehouse. We did announce a retired assistant commissioner. And then we have birthday today of a friend of mine who listens on the program, Joel Haynes, Kali Toffee, right? He used to be an officer in the Guyana National Service. Today is his birth anniversary. Also, the birth anniversary is a former member. I remember him used to be at the TSU. Ivan Morian, birthday is today. And advance birthday greetings to my countryman. I don't care what you say. It's my countryman. Retired Deputy Superintendent Colin Boyce. Despite the fact that he genuflect at the bow and all them everything, I ain't disowning me. We grew up together in the village of BV. Colin is my serious, Colin Tatau is my countryman still. So advance birthday to him. Advance birthday to retired policewoman Roxanne Wall, who used to be in the band, a very good singer. We also have Mark Fraser, a police rank. I think he's still serving. And then we have advance birthday to a man who I'm sure is here now, Maxwell Beaton, 11704. He's observing and celebrating in the next few days' time. And I also want to say advance birthday greetings to a person who many of us would know of. She used to be in the army. Then she's a retired chief magistrate, Anne McLennan. Anne is celebrating our natal day in a few days' time. So I want to take this opportunity to wish all those persons happy birthday, whether you're celebrating today, whether you're celebrated recently, or whether you're celebrating in the near future. Now, let me try to bring in Mr. Conway again and hope that he has overcome the audio problem. Let me see. Here he comes. CC, good morning. Now, well, we still can't hear you, CC. Something is definitely wrong. I can see your mouth walking up, but I can't hear you. So we have that technical problem. I don't know really what is the problem. We were trying to resolve it all morning. He came out the studio several times, came back in. I don't know. So maybe let me send you a new link. I'm going to email to you a new link. And maybe when you try that link, let's see what will happen. So students, bear with us one moment. Bear with us. Let me try to resolve this thing. Because I really want CC with me this morning. CC, I've just sent the new link to you. Let me see. So just leave the studio and click on the new link and see if you're going to get any success. Yes, folks, these things do happen, you know. But nothing is going to deter us from coming here and bringing you the credible, valuable information. Nothing. So again, at birthday greetings to all those who celebrated recently and those who celebrated in the future, those who are celebrating today, as I await the return of my colleague, CC. Now, while we do that, there are some issues I want to discuss, but I don't want to start without the benefit of CC. We don't want to start. I really want him to get involved in this discussion. So bear with me a while I, a lot of things happening, If you look at the news around Guyana, a lot of things, we're going to go into them. We are going to go into some startling revelation. I think he's back. Let me see if he can get in now. CC, can you hear me now? Let me see if we can hear you. No, same thing. I don't know what is the problem, my brother. Well, you came out, you come back in, and I can see at my end you're not muted. So I don't know what is the problem with your audio, but we can see you walking up your mouth, but we can't hear you. So I don't know how we are going to resolve that. I think that is beyond our competence. We're going to keep trying, though. We are going to keep trying to see if we can, because we really want to have you here this morning. So look again and see if there's anything that you need to do at your end. And maybe you can call me, and I'm going to bring you back in the studio and see what can happen. Yeah, folks, he's having technical difficulties this morning. I don't know what is the cause of that. But from very early, when we tried to make sure that things were okay, he was getting this problem. I can't hear him. He's hearing me, but I cannot hear him. So I don't know what really is the problem. He has exited the studio and returned in several times. So yeah, Gavin said we need back with time. Yeah, you're gonna get back with time, man. We can get back with time. Yeah, justice for Adriana Young. Justice for Adriana Young. Now let me address that issue. And when CC come, we can maybe talk about it again. You know, about what, just over a week ago, almost 2 weeks now, I think, we had this the demonstrations around Georgetown and elsewhere following the postmortem report. And there was an unfortunate incident on the East Coast where an adult and 2 children were burnt with acid. Right? Immediately, the government, including the president and all them, blame the protesters for that incident. They blame the protesters for that incident. While I was on the live, someone communicated with me, a very reliable source, said, look, this thing has nothing to do with this demonstration. There was some dispute between this woman and her husband or reputed husband, something like that. He threw acid on her, and the children who were nearby, they were affected by it. Nothing to do with the demonstration. The president went to them. We saw that. President went to the family. They're condemning these demonstrations, the demonstrators. Oh, they're the one, the protesters are the one who did this and all of that. They were invited to State House and all that took place. I'm saying this to say they're the ones who talk about politicizing incidents. They did all of that. One of the, but I don't know if you call it newspaper, but online they posted a photograph of 2 African Guyanese, 2 male African Guyanese, claiming that they were the ones who threw the acid on this lady and the children. Immediately after, somebody came out and somebody posted, well, it can't be because those 2 men are in jail. They are serving sentence in the Georgetown prison. Well, the prisons. I don't know if it's Georgetown or Mazuruni or Lusignan, wherever they are. But that came out, right? Shortly after, my information is it was revealed that, look, this thing had nothing to do with the protesters and so on. It was confirmed that some domestic incident and the guy threw acid on the woman. The children were nearby, they were affected. We understand that the police are aware of this information and that the police might have arrested or might have been looking to arrest the real perpetrator, right? And nobody had made no retraction. The president who politicized this thing from the day claiming protesters, then come back and say we did wrong. We don't expect them to do that. That is the modus operandi. We don't expect them to do that, but the truth must be told. The truth must be told. That incident, unsavory incident, despicable incident, had nothing to do with the demonstration. Absolutely nothing. But they're the ones, and they talk about politicization of incidents and all that. Jump out very early, went to visit the family, condemned the protesters, invited the family to State House and all of that. And then now that they understand, I think by now they would know that it had nothing to do with that. They got all them cameras and so on around the place, Safe City and all these things to tell you about. They ought to know. This is an incident occurred on the East Coast, somewhere by Triumph, Chatamargo, that area, Success, somewhere on the East Coast, far removed from what was going on in Georgetown. And the men telling you nothing. This is the type of people you got to point out. And they're the ones talking about politicizing these incidents when something happened. But, let me tell you something. We are going to come here and we are going to bring you the facts and out them when they come with this rubbish. Let me see if CC is able to get back in now. CC, I know you're back in, but can we hear you now? Let me back at the temp again. No. Same problem. We can't hear you. We can't hear you at all, my brother. We can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear CC. So it looks like it's a single wicket, right? The single wicket, I got a bat. Well, I'm capable of batting, but I hope that at some stage CC will get to come in and we can be able to share this platform and bring you the credible, valuable information. So that again, I got to point it out. That incident had nothing to do with the protest. Nothing at all to do with the protest. But they are the ones who politicize it and blaming protesters for burning. Imagine something like that. People show us it and 2 children are affected, and everybody should be outraged about that. Everybody should be outraged, because if you are going to, even if it's inadvertent, to make sure you're so careless, you're so callous that you're going to throw this corrosive substance on a woman when children are nearby and they're affected, everybody should be. And by now we should have heard if people get charged and all this type of thing. Right? We should hear people get charged, who the people are. But they're not doing that because that does not fit into the narrative that they started with, that these were protesters who did this. So now that I suspect that they know the truth, they're going to cover it down. That is how dishonest and unprofessional they are. That is how dishonest and unprofessional. Because they believe, I suspect, that if you come out now, the president will look bad. But you're not going to make the president look bad. The president has make himself look bad. But tell the truth. But when they rush out to these things, that is what has happened. Rush out to politicize the incident. And then when the facts are revealed, then they are found in that place where they got to stay quiet. They got to stay quiet. And that is what you have. That is what you have. Let me move on to our next incident. I saw something, and CC's going to join us. I'm sure you're going to get the opportunity. If not, we're going to come at some other time. I see he's trying to come back in again. Let me see if you can get him if you can hear him here now. CC, you're back in. Let me hear if you can hear your talk, by. Same problem. I guess you gotta. I suspect what you should need to do is reboot the old computer, not just only come out the studio and come in, shut down the computer, start it back, and then that might fix the issue. Shut it down completely and start it back. Yeah, serious technical issues and so on. Now let me go to another incident. Share the live in the meanwhile. Share the live. Share. This is a report, a letter written by attorney Ronald Daniels. I want to highlight what we were saying all the time about this police force. Well, many of them are rogues. Lack of leadership in the police force. They would come and tell you about SOPs and they tell you all of that. And no proper leadership. And therein lies the problem. From the commissioner who should not be there, our people, of course, I use the word again, Percy. They brackle Branham on Monday for him to make some comment, but apparently the commissioner is more evasive. The man is more evasive. Apparently, they have not been able to brackle him for him to say anything, right? So what happened? Daniels wrote a letter. I think it was not letters. Yeah, he made a post. So let me call it a letter. He made a post on social media, Facebook to be precise. He said, the manner in which police sometimes treat and interface with attorneys leave little wonder what the ordinary person who has the misfortune of interfacing with the police go through. That's attorney Daniels, right? Ronald Daniels. And then he went on to say, I just went to Kitty Police Station to visit a client who is being detained after he accompanied someone for both of them to make a report. So what he's saying is, his client accompanied someone for both of them to make a report. And he said that he is detained. That's the word he used, detained, right? The reception I received from an officer who identified himself as Hoyt, after I asked his name, left much to be desired. From the time I walked through the doors, he was issuing me instructions and directions, not in a polite manner. I soon after learned that he thought I was a relative there to collect my client's belongings. When I identified myself, he said I did not say I was an attorney. I responded that he did not give me the opportunity to. I then asked if I would talk to the, let me read it back. I then asked if he would talk to me in a better way. No. There's a typo there, so that's what confused me. So I then asked if he would talk to me in a better way now. He responded with the words to the effect, because you're an attorney, my role as an attorney did not change, but instead aggravated my fortunes. I requested a private audience with the client. He pointed me to a desk and told me I have 5 minutes with the client. as the client asked to go into the cell. I inquired whether he was really limiting an attorney's visit to 5 minutes. He insisted that I have 5 minutes because his shift is over and he asked to go home. I asked for his regulation number and he proceeded to make a phone call. Then while on the phone, he came and asked my name. I gave it to him for the second time. He was telling the person on the phone that I was asking for his regulation number, among other things. I continued to ask, and he blankly ignored me. The client explained that the station sergeant instructed that he be arrested, though he and the other person were relaying that they were there to make a report against a third person. He said he asked the station sergeant her name, and she refused to say. So I asked a female officer, who is the female officer that instructed my client be arrested, and she said she did not know, and she has now assumed duty. She did not know, as she has now assumed duty. I then asked both her and I said some same thing to the effect: the only two things you are allowed to tell him break down dealing with the matter. And I don't recall the second thing, as it was of no consequences to my inquiry. He instructed that the client go into the cell. I told him I am not through with the client. He insisted that the client goes into the cell. At some point, I asked for his regulation number again, and he said his officer said he does not have to give me his regulation number. So he's not going to give his regulation number, as he doesn't know what I want to do with it. And that he has already given me his name. He was kind enough to share the station sergeant's name, but said that the instructions to arrest my client came from higher up. He continued to insist that the client goes into the cell and said words to the effect that we attorneys should not be visiting clients in the night, that we should do it in the day, and was adamant that he got to go home. I asked when he was sure he want to go. I asked if the thing got some typos, yeah, so you have to forgive me. I asked if he was sure that he wanted to go down that path. He became irate. I instructed the client to comply, as I could not assure his fortunes. I left while Art was aggressively calling his office again. This, sadly, is what we get from policing too often. And this is how the police oftentimes treat with the rights of citizens in the quest to build a better relationship. There are some typos there in the thing which caused me to stumble a little. But I read that to let you see exactly what is going on. And they're the ones who, even at the communities, the opening of the conference, I'm going to tell you about community outreach and professionalism and all that. That is what, this is an attorney. According to this story, the two men turned up at the station to make a report against a third person. They are detained. We don't know what happened to this third person, if the report that they made was entertained or not. But they are detained. They called the lawyer. The lawyer turned up. And the policeman on duty, unprofessional, he refused to give his number. He tell the man in name Hoyt. I said the attorney. Refused to give his number, which means that he was improperly dressed in the first instance. Because the police regulation requires you to wear your name tag as your regulation number and name. Then he called some officer. Imagine that. That's what is reported. He called an officer, and the officer tells him, according he doesn't have to give his regulation number to somebody. That is what you have in the police force. That is what you have, and that is what is condoned. Right? That is what is called. Because I'm sure this thing appeared, right? Nobody would have monitored it and decided to investigate. Because if the name is correct, Hoyt, then you have to be able to know who the person is. And even if that is not so, we would have expected that one would have contacted Mr. Daniels and asked Mr. Daniels exactly what went on, with a view to taking the necessary action against the errant rank. But that don't happen now. That don't happen. And they talk about professionalism. They tell you the boast about building and infrastructure and 5,000 body camera. All of those things mean nothing if you don't have a proper system of discipline in the force, if you don't have people acting professionally, well, tell the liar, I believe the liar, that you have to come a day to see a client and his interaction with the client is limited to 5 minutes. That is what is being reported. That is what is being reported. And then as Danny ended by saying, they're the ones who have better public relations. How are you going to get better public relations when you're treating people like that? And you know, the whole thing about this now is accountability. Because you know the trench crappers and the amphibian well, used to happen. Yeah, I have no doubt that you used to get incidents in the past, but people can tell you once those things were brought to attention, condign action would have been taken against the rank. So much so that many of them would not even risk doing that. And what is disturbing in this matter, based on the report, is that this rank called some senior body, may know how senior the person is, and the senior body tell you that he ain't never give a name. Senior body told him that you don't have to give a name, and immediately one would have seen that the rank was improperly dressed. There's a charge under the Police Discipline Act to be improperly dressed, because the regulation requires that you must wear your name and your name tag. The name tag is your name and your number. So if he had been wearing his name tag and number, Mr. Daniels would not have had to inquire of his name and number. So immediately you know that he was improperly dressed in the police station. And that is what we have. Mr. Conway is back in the studio. Let me see if we have any luck now with him. CC, let me hear you if you could get you now. Same problem, brother, same problem. We're not hearing you. So I guess, I know you're going to continue to try. I know you don't give up. I know you're resilient, but we can't hear you at all. So I don't know what really is the matter. Maybe you can try with your phone or something and let's see what happens. Right, so CC is still having difficulties, right? Still having difficulties. But I'm saying, look, I'm saying a matter like this, coming from an attorney, coming from anyone, should a proper investigation should be launched immediately. They will tell you OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, whoever it is, should investigate, because you cannot encourage or condone this type of behavior. And the ranks, a lot of people here work with me, and they know them things happening under my watch. And if it happens, woe be unto the rank who is found to have behaved in such an unprofessional manner. People on this live now who work with me, and they could tell you I didn't make sport with discipline and how they do it. And then some senior body tell you, I don't know how senior that person is, tell you, well, you don't have to give your name and number to the liar. From the time that was asked, first of all, you should have been hearing, you should have been wearing your name tag. And if you're not wearing it, the liar asks, you have a responsibility, you have a right to get, my number is 95 Jones. Where are you stationed? I'm stationed at Impact Base. You have to do that. You have to do that. There's not a favor you're doing the person. As I said, first of all, you should be wearing your name tag with your number. And that is it. Because you have the squatter there, they are not going to look into this. They are not going to look into it. And I always say this. When you see a police rank in these times on duty without a name tag, you have got to be extremely suspicious. First of all, you're unsure if it's police or some private security dressed as police. And then you have to question the motive. Why are they not wearing the name tag? Why do they not want to be identified? Given all the allegations of corruption and all that. And they talk about body camera. You believe body camera would have solved that issue, a man in the station, unless you tell them wear him in the station? And even if you have an order for them to wait in the station, they're going to turn them off. Some of them might even go, when something like that, might even throw them away and say it last. Right? That's how you have no discipline. Because the indiscipline is at the top. You have the commissioner of police has displayed acts of indiscipline, $8.5 million collecting the office. The act of not interacting with the media is an act of great indiscipline too. As a commissioner of police, all these incidents, you're not interacting with the media. And they want to tell us what? They want to tell us what? Well, look, let me move to another incident. And I'm going to zero in just now on the, the most important thing going on now is that the the Adriana, we got to talk about it there all the time. The Adriana Young incident, I call it murder. See, I'm commented on social media that I am not partial because I'm not impartial because I call it murder. Let me repeat. Based on what I have seen, that is murder, right? Because it is clear from the evidence, photographic and other evidence, that the child did not die in the pool. And I will say that repeatedly. From all the evidence that has come, the child did not die in the pool. Yes, cause of death might be drowned in, as said by the professional people. I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying that the drowning did not take place in the pool. You know, and let me tell you how this came about. Attorney at law Selwyn Peters, I know that he never mind me calling his name, even though I didn't seek his permission first, said, I believe he was just joking, that Slow should be a part of this investigation. Not me. First thing, not me. I get it. And the man said, he was an ex-police, I don't call his name, he worked with me, I know him well. He said that, no, I should not be involved in that because I already decided it's a murder. And then he talked about my association with AFC and a lot of crap he talked. So I don't know what association the political party has to do with it. In which case, Ikin and all of them got to knock out Blanham and all of them. Because all of them, Ikin has publicly told people of his association with the ruling party. Some of you know what really he talking about. Right? So, make the point. So I am saying that based on all the evidence that we have there, that this is a murder, this is a homicide investigation. They tacitly admitted that by bringing in a man from Canada, what they say is a homicide specialist. So if you're investigating the cause of the fire, or if you're investigating some other thing, why are you bringing in an homicide specialist if you're not investigating a homicide? So for all them who jump out and talking, no matter with them, they got mouth. And country people say, if your mouth shaped like batty, you got to shoot shit. That's what country people. Let me repeat that. Country people say, if your mouth shaped like batty, you got to shoot shit. So that's what's going on with enough of them. But I am saying, it is more than it's a homicide. They are admitting because they said they bring in this man from Canada who is a homicide investigator. So why would you bring in an homicide investigator if you're not investigating an homicide? Huh? I believe people stupid. We big, but we ain't stupid. I'm born yesterday. I didn't born yesterday, right? So let me move on. At the sideline of this conference, Association of Commissioners of Police, I'm dealing with these first. I'm hoping still that CC can get the opportunity to come in, right? Now, hear what the crime chief said. It is not alleged to have said. I heard it myself. When they asked the crime chief, Deputy Commissioner Wendell Blanham, about the Linden issue. Because you know we have 2 people killed at Linden. People tend to forget that. You have Adriana now. People tend to forget that just a month ago, police shot and killed 2 men. One man got charged, Kendall got charged for killing Ronaldo Peters. He's remanded. But up to now, you ain't hearing anything further about the death of Keon Fodgeny, called Dan. So what happened? Again, Porsche, I gotta use the word. When them brackle him, Blanham, outside the conference thing, the man said that the Criminal Investigation Department played no part in the investigation into the shooting death of Keon Fodgeny during a protest at Linden. My Lord, I was shocked. Very little shocked me now. But the crime chief is saying, Deputy Commissioner Blanham, the man who in charge of crime, when I say in charge of crime, people got a problem with the crime chief. He's the officer in charge of crime, you know. The correct designation is Deputy Commissioner Law Enforcement, DCLE, Deputy Commissioner Law Enforcement. But it was called the crime chief. Not only he, even before they referred to them as the crime chief. Perhaps it is apt in some cases, the crime chief. Yeah? Perhaps that expression is apt in certain cases. I don't know about this particular case. But hear what they're saying. The Criminal Investigations Department played no part in the investigation into the shooting death of Keon Fodgeny during a protest in Linden, Crime Chief Wendell Blanham said yesterday, that is Monday. Branham, when asked to provide an update on the investigation into the death of Fudgeny, stated that the Office of Professional Responsibility, OPR, in collaboration with the Regional Security System, RSS, they've already left out again, conducted the investigation, and that the Criminal Investigations Department had no role to play in the matter. This clarification came amid ongoing inquiries into the fatal shooting of Fudgeny during the protests in Linden, with the OPR and RSS jointly handling the case. He's quoted here as saying, the investigation was conducted by the Office of Professional Responsibility, OPR, in collaboration with the RSS, Regional Security System. The Criminal Investigations Department had no role to play in that investigation, end of quote. As the investigation continues, the OPR is yet to provide a further update. Additional witnesses into the shooting of Fudgeny were interviewed by investigators to complete the case before the file is submitted. The RSS is expected to submit a report containing findings and recommendations. When I heard that on Monday, and this was just read here, folks, is yesterday's Stabrook News. When I read that, I was surprised, and very little surprises me now, very little. But imagine, this is the murder. But he did not say about the murder of Peters, whether Peters' murder, Rolando Peters, whether they had nothing to do with it too. Can you imagine that? Homicide investigation. Initially, the Office of Professional Responsibility of the Police Force, an organization, not an organization, a unit within the police force investigated, and the crime chief is saying that the CID, the Criminal Investigation Department, had no role to play. So where all they didn't gather scientific and other evidence, ballistic evidence, because as far as I know, those things come under the CID. The ballistic section and all those things come under the CID. So if you're saying that they had no role to play in this thing, one wonders what will become of first the charge of murder against Kendall and this one against Keon Fudgeny. One wonders, because we already pointed out on this show, Mr. Connie and I, that the Police Complaints Authority Act, Chapter 17:02, mandates that a case like that, both cases, that the Police Complaints Authority must supervise the investigation, not the RSS or the RASS. That is what the law of Guyana, one of the laws of Guyana say. Chapter 17:02, the Police Complaints Authority Act mandates that once a killing is reported that involves the police, they must supervise the investigation. We made the point that during the rush to charge Kendall, as the crystal ball had predicted, they're going to charge him for murder, and it happened, that you hear nothing about the Office of Complaint, the Complaints Authority. Nothing was mentioned about the Complaints Authority, nothing at all. And the question is asked, if the law stipulates and the law mandates that the Police Complaints Authority must be involved in such an investigation, and they did not, can the lawyers use that to get this man off? Is that deliberate so that this sergeant who killed this man can be acquitted? You got to ask these questions. You have to ask, because if the law says that you should do it, as I know, you have to follow it. But we have known, or we were told by the Complaints Authority, he reported to Parliament and the President on several occasions that the current Commissioner of Police has been ignoring the Police Complaints Authority Act. He has been ignoring the act. So what is the story? What is the story here? The crime chief admitted that they are not involved in the Fudgeny killing at Linden. So who is? Because we know RSS are gone long time. The RSS gone. They packed the bundle and they gone a long time. So what happened to this investigation? The OPR ain't saying nothing. The confirmed squad ain't saying nothing. And the little that the crime chief said on Monday, when the broccoli, doesn't help the situation. Does not help. It does not lend any clarity to the situation. That is what we're in. And people are sitting back and taking these things. I am not advocating violence. So Nosef and them don't run out and say, I calling people be violent. I will never do so. But I am saying that people need to ask these questions. So tomorrow when Tantimore come out there, whether the red dress showing or not, these questions ought to be asked. Because they know everything, you know. They know everything. So ask them these valid questions. These are public interest issues. Find out. A man got killed. Right? What is the current position? Over a month ago, what is the current position with the investigation? Especially now that the crime chief has indicated that the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Force had nothing to do with this investigation. So why you're not going to ask them questions? Why? Normally, I would have said, now, bring in CC, what he's still struggling to get in. He's still struggling to get in. So, folks, these things have to be brought to your attention, and I will do so, even with a single wicket batting. Even with a single wicket. Because remember when this program started some years back, we alone used to battle. And then CC came and he provided invaluable support, right? So that's what you got to do. We are going to bring it to your attention and continue to share. The numbers look nice, but you must continue to share because we got to go into this Adriana's case. We have not gone into it yet. Let me tell you something else that I saw yesterday. You know, they have this conference going on, Association of Commissioners of Police, Caribbean Commissioners of Police, at the Cultural Center. Sorry, not Cultural Center, at the Arthur Chung Convention Center. Yesterday morning, Attorney Hughes and some others turned up to protest. Right? The police, a superintendent of police, I understand the name Arjun, turned up, the video is there, to tell Mr. Hughes that he can't protest in that area. Why? He can't say why initially. Why he can't stand there and peaceful and not obstructing the traffic? Why? He said they got a barrier, he has to go beyond the barrier. Why you got to go behind? You know, the superintendent of the police tell the attorney? Because the police SOP, the police standard operation process, say you got to go behind the barrier. You have here stupidness yet? This is a superintendent of police. Superintendent of police, they say name Arjun. That is what he's telling an attorney, that the police standing SOP, the standing operation procedure, say you got to go beyond the barrier. You know, the only thing disappointed me, I know Mr. Hughes is a peaceful man, more peaceful than I am, that eventually, after some clarification, after a junior officer, this is a superintendent, and in case you all know, in the scheme of things in the police force, you're a senior officer from rank of superintendent up. So people just refer to, once you wear cake, you say you're a senior officer. Nah, you're not a senior officer. You get subordinate officers, lance corporal, sergeants, inspectors, subordinate officers. You get gazetted officers from cadet officer up. Then you have what you call senior officers. When the police talk about senior officers, they're talking about someone who holds the rank of superintendent and above. Superintendent, senior superintendent, assistant commissioner, deputy commissioner, commissioner. Those are the ones who are described as senior officers. So this Arjun guy is a senior officer. He holds the rank of superintendent. Right? He holds the rank of superintendent. And here what happened? He telling the man to move from there. You can't stand up here. Why I can't stand there? I cannot stand there because the police standing order, police operational procedure. What nonsense is that? What nonsense is that? And here, again, it has to do with the operational planning for that type of thing. Because you have an activity like that, given what is going on in Guyana, you ought to anticipate that people might turn up there to protest. Right? It's reasonable to anticipate people will come to protest. So what should happen? And I'm teaching them again. Very early, if you want to establish barriers, you have to do it very, very early. And not just putting down barriers, but make sure that the barriers that are put there are manned. In other words, police have to stand up there to tell people, sorry, you can't pass. And most people, law-abiding people, if you have a barrier and a policeman tell them, please, you can't pass here, they're going to comply. But when you don't have a barrier, or if you have a barrier that is not police, is not manned, people are going to come and be within the barrier. And then it is more difficult to tell them, come out. removed from this area. So that is how the thing should be planned. You take command of the ground very, very early, and therefore it is easier to police. I tell them the same thing when I work major events and so on in relation to parking. You have to establish a presence very early where you could tell them, please, you cannot park here, you have to park here. But if the person parks and leaves, it's problem is more difficult for you to now find the person to tell him to remove the car. Because even if you put up sign and say do not park, those things have to be manned, they have to be policed. That is how it should be done. I was in charge of operation for years, and I can tell you, but I don't know what goes on now. So they're telling the lawyer, or at least Arjun is telling him, he can't be there. And then what happened? A rank junior to Arjun intervened. I don't know if he was more explicit or more polite as one, but then Mr. Hughes and the other person moved beyond the barrier. I said, I would have stand up right there. Come, Mr. Hughes, what offense am I committing? He can't say. Talking about police standing order or police, some shit he talking about, right? But I would have remained there. I would have stood my grounds. But Mr. Hughes being the law-abiding person he is and all of that, head of a political party, was decided, look, let me comply and let me comply. I'm not condemning him for that. But I say, if I were in this position, they have to arrest me. Because I know I didn't do anything, they have to arrest me and cause an incident. That is what is the thing is about. Now, one student made a very important point I did not explain, and he's referring to the incident that I referred to earlier, Mr. Daniels, the fact that this man hadn't turned his number, and he's making the point, which is a valid point, unless this rank to whom he spoke, Daniel spoke, is a rank from the CID. Because the rank is a CID rank, then you don't expect the CID rank to have a name tag with name on it. That is a very valid point I should have explained, right? So thank you very much, student, for reminding me. And that's why I like the student. They're very interactive. That's why I like them. Because the man pointed out to me a while ago there on the chat that, look, if the rank was a CID rank, then there would be no requirement for where his name tag with number, which is true. But there's still a requirement for him to have given his number and name on request. That is the point too. So even if you're wearing the uniform because you're a CID ranks don't wear uniform, right? But you're a policeman and you're there at the station. It seemed to be he was the man in charge. And I don't believe, based on what was said, I don't think he was a CID rank. But let me give him that. You're a CID rank. You still have to give your name and number. Not only to lawyers, anyone who asks your name and number, you have to give it to them. And you don't have to call superior to find out if you should give your name, what they want it for, and all that type of crap. That is not the way it should be done. So let me understand this thing clearly. Man telling the man that police SOP, he can't stand up there and all this type of thing. A superintendent of police, I want to emphasize that. This is a superintendent, a senior officer. Can't explain, because there's no proper explanation. And I like to remind you, I like to use myself. I am bigging up myself. But I became a police a branch commander with the rank of deputy superintendent. I was a deputy superintendent when I took over the TSU from Ovid, Glasgow. I think that would have been around 91 or sometime then. When I took over West Demerara, I held the rank of superintendent. Now you get assistant commissioner, all them people, and they don't know the ace from the ass. But I was a superintendent of police when I took over West Demerara in 1993. But you got a superintendent now walking outside the convention center and can't deal properly with the matter. Right? Now let me move on. I see Sienna coming back here. Let me move on to the next issue. What else do we have to talk about here? Let me go to this Adriana Young's matter. Let me pull up my notes. And you know, this is not gonna go away. Just like that, because that is what they want. The government speaks about closure. The family wants closure too. But it is my humble opinion that what the government wants as closure, or what they see as closure, and what the family see as closure, two different things. I am of the view when the government talks about closure, all they're talking about, let me bury this child, and then people are going to tend to forget down the road. short memory. Something will come up and they're going to forget about Adriana Young. I think they're miscalculating. I think they are miscalculating. People are not going to forget because this thing has gained international attention. And everybody watching. It has gained international attention. Can you recall when this incident occurred? The girl went missing on the 23rd of April, Wednesday the 23rd of April. I think it's 3 weeks today, no? The body was discovered on the morning of the 24th of April, Thursday the 24th. These people now, I see Ryan Shah and all them talking about the thing politicizing. Wrote a letter today in today's Stabrook News talking about the incident being politicized. People using it, they call him the political opportunist. Let me remind you people how the first set of politicians that we were aware that got involved in this matter. On the morning of Thursday the 24th, even before the body was recovered, the minister Vidya Prasad, I think that is her name, turned up at the scene at the hotel there, Tushan. Turned up. She's alleged to have been saying, among other things, that she calling it, she will get the Minister of Home Affairs, Sultan Scoot Ben, to get the K9 section, to get dogs, tracker dogs, to come to try to track the whereabouts of this child. There's a minister of the government, Vidya Prasad, saying she's going to communicate with another minister of the government, Rupson Ben, to get dogs involved to track this child. This before the body was recovered or discovered or suddenly miraculously appeared. And they're talking about politicizing this thing, you know. She turned up there. I want to ask some questions. How did the minister, how was this thing communicated to her? And how did she assign so much importance to this matter to turn up all the way to Tushan early Thursday morning? Oh, when? Who tells you about it? How did she learn about it? Social media? How did she learn about it? What interest she had to turn up there? That these questions must be asked. These questions must be asked and credible answers must be provided. So she turns up, she tells you she can call Ben in an operational matter. Because tracker dogs, if tracker dogs are to be involved, that's not for the minister of whatever portfolio she has and Robeson Ben. I would have thought the divisional commander who was present and those policing people, because those are operational matters. Operational matters. But they're getting involved. And when you talk about them getting involved in operational matters in the police force, they're vexed. And they tell you that you're politicizing the thing. But they are the ones who are politicizing it. Fast forward to the day when the postmortem was done on the 28th of April, Monday the 28th of April. Who released or who at press conference? Who at a press conference telling the people about the preliminary findings of the postmortem? The president himself. That is not politicizing the matter. Why is the president of the country giving preliminary autopsy report? What happened to the commissioner of police? What happened to the crime chief? Are they not the ones who should have been doing that? And they're talking about politicizing this matter, you know? They're talking about politicizing this matter when they are the ones, they are the culprits. They are the main culprits in politicizing this thing. I spoke about the acid throwing incident. They are the ones, President run to the people them, blaming the protesters. As it transpired, nothing at all. The protesters had nothing to do with that. They are the ones politicizing the matter. And then they're pointing finger all over the place. Right? All over the place. Got to come, you got to call them out. You got to, and now is what we're going to do here. We're going to call them out. We're going to call, let me see if Mr. Conway is lucky this time again, man. He's trying again. See, let me hear you if you make it now. No. Same problem. Whatever problem it is persists. Same problem. We can't hear you. Right, so who politicizing the matter? And hear this one. What now we're doing, students? A batting alone. A batting, when you're batting single wicket, is that a case where you could wait till the turn over the strike until you can't turn over the strike? You can't turn over the strike, so I did in a position where you can't turn over the strike. You got to beat the bowling all alone. And I'm capable. I'm sure you folks recognize that I'm capable of beating the bowling all alone. Right? Here what happened. Let me read these things to y'all, man. Let me read and refresh y'all memory. Let me refresh y'all memory. Shortly after this incident, that is the discovery of this body, which was discovered. That is a time when I said body, I got to be more precise. I'm talking about Adriana Young, this young 11-year-old child that was found in the pool. 11-year-old child. What happened? I think it's the same night or shortly thereafter. The president gave a statement. What the president is reported to have said. Again, I got to use my language properly, you know. Reported to have said, because I didn't hear him myself. But I read this in the media. I have asked the Commissioner of Police to assemble a special team to lead the investigation into the circumstances surrounding 11-year-old Adriana Young. We must uncover the full truth of everything that transpired. And no resource or effort will be spared in doing so. Whatever specialized resources are required to determine every aspect of the event and circumstances will be provided. Additionally, I have asked the police to explain in detail every action taken since the matter was reported. Like the rest of the country, I stand with the family and at this time of extreme grief. That is what the president said. President Irfan Ali said so shortly after this body was discovered. He asked the commissioner to assemble a special team. Even last week, I think it would have been Thursday, when the lawyer representing the interests of the family asked the commissioner who in charge, he can't say, he couldn't say, right? Then he says that he must uncover the full truth of everything that transpired, and no resources or effort will be spared in doing so. Whatever specialized resources are required to determine every aspect of the events and circumstances will be provided. Then he goes on to say, additionally, I have asked that the police explain in detail every action taken since the matter was reported. Let me say this. What we're talking about here is not one investigation. Let me understand this thing clearly. So even you don't bring in this Canadian man. The Canadian man they bring in, I suspect, that will investigate what took place, how this girl died, because that homicide part. But in terms of these other things here, about what the president saying, explain in detail every action taken, that can be under the purview of those people who doing the homicide investigation. One would have expected a concurrent investigation to be going on to find out what happened from the time the report was made and all the failures of the police. That can be wrapped up in the homicide investigation. Cannot be, but they come and they spout a lot of stupidness. And again, I tell you, I am going to, and we are going to analyze these things and bring it to you. Because while they're hustling with the homicide investigation, right? This story, as it relates to the action of the police or the president, he has asked them to explain in detail every action taken by the police since the matter was reported. And Kit Nascimento, the matter was reported on Wednesday, the 23rd of April, not after the body was discovered, as you have claimed in your letter recently. Not after. It was reported. And that is, again, they come, they gaslight you. And they say all kind of rubbish. We're going to go through it and bring it to your attention. We're going to analyze it. Because they believe we're stupid. They believe that we are senile like them. Right? But so what has happened to that part of the investigation? What has happened to that part? By now, I would have expected they would have been able to say, to explain to the president in detail every action taken since the matter was reported. First of all, you would have got to say what time the matter was reported and by whom. You have to have a record of that. And that will debunk whatever Chris Nascimento is trying to portray now. You would have had to say the matter was reported at a particular time, at a particular station, who were the person entertaining the report, and who made the report. And my skills as a senior police administrator and manager, when you tell me that, you have to provide me with the extract of the report. Don't come and tell me that, hey, this report was made. But you're cocking me. Let me see the extract. Go falsify the books and give me an extract. Let me see the extract of the report. And if you left to go and say you're going to investigate this report, let me see the extract from the diary, the station diary, at what time you left, who left. You see, they can't like me, you know. They can't like we, because we were police, properly trained. And you can't put it in we without even putting a little Vaseline on the thing. No, no, no. You ain't taking that. But some of them I know what's going on. So they put the dashing it in the no lubrication, nothing at all. You think you can come to me and tell me that a report was made? Yeah, let me see the extract of the report. Who made the report? What action was taken after the report was made? All of that. If you communicated to the commander or the IOP, let me see. Tell me, well, you called this body and that body, right? All right, let me see what record you have of this call. Because remember, the telephone company can be subpoenaed to provide all them record. And you catch them in the lie. Because it's going to be a big cover-up to say, well, I report this and the record made. I made a entry in the occurrence book. Lies, all lies. All lies. So I want to know, yeah, Smitty, old school, Smitty. And Smitty as a very good detective, you would know, they can't come and tell you that they make entry. They can't come and write some statement, say, you want to see the extract of the entry that was made. They can't come to tell you that they made a property book, not property book, the occurrence book record, and they made an entry in the diary when they left. Let me see the extract from the diary. Let me see the extract from the occurrence book. All of that you got to provide. So all of that should have been done by now. All the action taken since the matter was reported, which would have included the records of this black and red car. Who is the person who received this thing? All of that would have got to come. Right? Yeah, Beaton. When you bring extract, you bring extract, you can't falsify no extract. Bring the diary. Get somebody to certify the extract, either the occurrence book, and then you want to bring it immediately. Here it does do the thing. You want to see the extract alone. And if you have suspicions about the extract, then you say, well, bring the book from which it was extracted. Trouble in the dance. Trouble, because if it is that they falsify the extract, they got to chow with the diary, they got to chow with the occurrence book, because that will skin them up. Right? I mean, you look, this policing thing is a nice thing when you know it. But unfortunately, you get a lot of them. They're wearing the uniform, but they're not policemen. I see my colleague, Mr. Conway, trying to get back in. Let me see if he can make it now. CC, let me hear if I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
I'm using my phone.
Yeah. Wonderful. We can hear Mr. Conway now. We can hear Mr. Conway, even though he's using some other device. But let me pause here now, because I gotta get it's a water break now, and therefore during the water break I have to have Mr. Conway to recap. I'm sure you would have been listening, and let me hear your take on all that I've said so far. CC, go ahead.
All right. Let me start this statement by French. Said a video footage prior to or at the same time when the alarm was raised. They have video footage prior to or at the same time when the alarm was up to now 3 weeks, and they're saying they get video footage prior to or at the same time. It's either they get prior or at the same time. One of the two are both. So we have confirmed cases and the cameras weren't working. That function yeah. Well, no, let me go on. He said we would have confirmed cases that the camera were not working. We would have. I am expecting to say that we have confirmed. I don't know which would have come from. And they say they're looking at several possibilities and theories. What are the possibilities? What are the theories? And we talk about the investigation objective. Do you expect them to do a subjective investigation? And we told them not disregard any information or evidence and evidence. Why you cannot tell them not to disregard information or evidence? You know, and the thing is, that well, when you look at the corrective statement, and part of it we said, you mentioned it, is that they did not do any take part any investigation in relation to the shooting of that and there. Imagine that the CID, which is its point for homicide, and as you mentioned, Paul, they also had ballistics. There was a shooting. So wait, did they do any ballistic report? Did the CID was involved? And then the RAS gone away and the investigation, the report not yet submitted. I wonder how they do the investigation. They do it virtually. And all the stuff was going on. And the more the crime chief down, the more, he showing that the competence of that individual. So, the more we look at it, Paul, the more we see that incompetence and the more you get a wishy-washy report that you're bringing RSS and the Gandaway and now the CID, the Department of the Guyana Police Force that is responsible for criminal investigation now. Homicide and CID not involved, something is definitely wrong there, Paul.
Yeah, something is definitely wrong. I can't anymore. I can't say who or use the ethnicity. Something wrong. Something wrong. Something is definitely wrong. And folks, we had Mr. Conway with us. I know that there was some static in his phone, and because he's using his phone, some static and so on. So I'm sure you would have been able to recognize what he was saying. I try to forget a particular comment. We just said we don't really bother with these trolls that they send from time to time. From time to time, they send their trolls. But sometimes you don't bother with them, but sometimes you have to deal with them. I can't find the comment now what a troll, but the troll saying that we were corrupt assistant commissioners, right? That is what the troll said. The troll said that you were, I guess you referred to me because Mr. Conway wasn't speaking at the time. I was a corrupt. They must define corruption. That troll must define corruption. Is corruption make a challenge Jack Dio back in 2003 when he wanted me to do an illegal act? He and Gadraj. Is corrupt or was corrupt, make a challenge them successfully in court. Right? Is corrupt or corrupt when later on, when the president suspended the police service commission, this very president, we challenged him successfully. And the judge said he was the one who was unlawful, unconstitutional, and corrupt. So y'all come. Y'all come. I ready for y'all. I ready for y'all, man. Come. When they bring y'all, come. I can deal with that, they're not many, but when they come, we can deal with them. I will deal with them. Right? So folks, continue to share. Continue to share because we have a lot to talk about this morning. Now that I get little support. Now, hear the story. We spoke about it on the last day on Monday. We talk about the Canadian where they're bringing in to assist. You say? They're bringing the Canadian to assist. We don't see terms of reference. They just say come for assist. Right? And what happens? In a matter like that, even if the FBI were to come, as we are all demanding, there's a process. So the man can come. They say he came in last, he was coming Monday night. So I suspect during the course of Tuesday, if he is a professional person, he would have sat down with all the local investigators. First of all, I expect he would have had an interaction with the commissioner, with the crime chief, how things that's gone on, they might even carry to the minister of affairs, even the president, how things that's gone on. For them to have an interaction with him, whatever that interaction means is for you to guess. Then at some stage, I expect that the investigators would have briefed him because no doubt, again, if he's a professional person, he would have gone on the internet and he would have looked to see what this matter is all about. Because if you're telling me from Canada, you're coming to Guyana to assist with a homicide investigation, You got to tell you the nature of the allegation, the nature of the matter that he's investigating. That's long before he comes. I guess long before he even accepts that he's going to be involved. So he comes, you have to put him to sit someplace, and whoever is the lead investigator in all them, the crime chief or whoever, gonna fill in. This is what happened. So all them things that we telling you, in the sequence, they should ready to tell him, sequence of events, what transpired. Right? He might then want to see what evidence you have, what statements you have acquired. All of that. Before he even venture any forward. Because remember, he's assisting. They say he's assisting. So when he has gone through all of that, then if he is experienced, as they say, he's going to ask questions. CCTV camera. Commander, you want statement from all these people, what you did when you go there, when you went there. What about the crime scene? Is this like crime scene preserved? Right? No, the crime scene. Why did you not preserve the crime? All of those things. There's a long process to sit down and talk to get a feel, a proper feel of what transpired and what you are assisting with. Whether you're assisting with a cover-up or whether you're assisting to get to the bottom of what really transpired. That is how it should go. All the statement they get, you should sit down now and go through all them statement. All. So that whole day, perhaps 2 day exercise. Read through. I don't know how many you get. Perhaps they only get 1 or 2. In which case, you can done read them very quickly. Right? If I were in this position, I would have wanted to have an interaction too with the lawyers representing the family to hear their take on it. Most certainly would have wanted to see the PM report. I would have also looked at this statement from the president and find out from the president how he came to that conclusion. And hear what I'm talking about here. Hear what I'm talking about. On the 28th, they say independent pathologists rule out. Independent pathologists rule out forced drowning in Adriana Young's death. Let me read it for y'all, man. I'd like to read and refresh y'all, you know. The 3 internationally accredited forensic pathologists have concluded that 11-year-old Adriana Young died as a result of drowning and have ruled out both sexual assault and drowning by force. The findings were disclosed during a press conference on Monday evening at State House by President Irfan Ali and Minister of Health Frank Anthony. The announcement followed a detailed post-mortem examination conducted by the independent experts earlier in the day. This day what they're talking about, Monday the 28th. I would want to know where they got that from. Then it goes on. In part, President Ali revealed that the autopsy began around 13:20 hours and was carried out with the aim of identifying any signs of trauma, injuries, or sexual violence, as well as collecting forensic samples and determining the cause of death. The procedure was thoroughly documented via photographs and video. In their preliminary findings, the pathologists confirmed that there was no signs of trauma or sexual assault. Adriana's body bore no fractures or broken bones. Markings observed on her skin were consistent with death by drowning, and there was no evidence to suggest drowning by force. The experts, however, were unable to establish the exact time of death as the body was in a state of advanced decomposition. Well, we learned that a lot of these things were false. Lies. One, we came to learn that the pathologists never ruled out forceful drowning. They never ruled out, as the president claimed, that there was no sexual assault and all of that. Never ruled that out. Never. And I made the point, and I'm repeating it again, because again, if this person who assists in this investigation is worth the salt, you're gonna have to. They say that the reason why they're claiming, I saw that there was no sexual assault, is because the hymen of this child was intact. In other words, she wasn't penetrated in her vagina. But that is all. I asked the question, what about being penetrated anally? What about oral penetration? What about that? Did they explore all of that? I asked the question too, What about her being used as a sexual object, some sicko? Because whoever did this got to be a sick person. And when I say sexual object, is maybe she was put there. Maybe the person would have looked at her, get aroused and masturbated. You know, the man in charge of a particular security company, allegation was made against him that while he was torturing one of his ex-employees, he put on pornography to get the man aroused. And he sprayed his genitals with all sort of spray. A lot of sick people about. A lot of sick people are about. They're wrong. So all of that. So to comment to say that you're going to conclude that there was no sexual assault because the hymen was intact, that is Lily ABC stuff. That is not for any proper investigation, right? Because there could have been assault without having penetration to the vagina, right? And again, we learn all these things from being proper, being properly trained, right? So again, I say all of these things. I would have questioned me about all of them. Did you come to this conclusion? How did you come to this conclusion? And then go back to the statement that the president made. President said, we must uncover the truth, the full truth of everything that transpired, and no resource or effort will be spared in doing so. Whatever specialized resources are required to determine every aspect of the events and circumstances will be provided. Well, they're asking for the specialized resources, the FBI. That is what being requested. But then President Ali now said, that he done with that. Let me read. I want to misquote before I bring in Mr. Conway. I don't want to misquote the president. And this is on the Monday there when he went to the thing. Hear what it said. President Ali, on Monday, virtually ruled out asking for more foreign investigators to probe the death of 11-year-old Adriana Young, whose body was found in a pool on April 24th. And here, the quoting the president is saying, this is Demerara Waves. I've already done what I have to do. Very dismissive. I've already done what I have to do. That is what the president is reported to have said. He told reporters shortly after addressing the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police at the opening of the annual general meeting at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, Lilliandale. He said that the postmortem on Young's body was conducted by foreign independent forensic pathologists and retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police homicide investigator Leonard Marcoshan has been hired to assist Guyana Police Force investigators. He said the matter was now being politicized. Who politicizing the matter? The matter is now being politicized by who? Your ministers and you and I are politicized from the get-go. Then he goes on to say, everything, quote, everything I've committed to in this case, I have done. What I said I would have done, the political handlers are now at work aggressively. Let the political handlers deal with what they want. That is so dismissive. That is so arrogant coming from a president. Very dismissive and very arrogant. You have not done all that is required of you. Because to go back again to the statement, you said, you're reported to have said, we will uncover the full truth and everything that transpired. And no resource or effort will be spared in doing so. Whatever specialized resources are required to determine every aspect of the events and circumstances will be provided. People are asking lawyers and the family, all right, bring the FBI. We have more confidence in an organization as against an individual that you unpick. You unpick this retired man from Canada and you expect people are going to accept whatever he comes and he tells you? I said repeatedly, he who pays the piper calls the tune. I don't know the gentleman. But I'm talking about perception. I am talking about the optics. It looks bad. Why are you afraid to get the FBI involved? And let me read another part before I bring in Mr. Conway. And this is in today's paper. No request made for FBI support in Adriana Young's probe. That is what the U.S. ambassador said. And then let me read two quick excerpts. So, we would gladly listen to their request and to do what we can, she said. The government of Guyana would have to make that request to the FBI. And then they would determine, based on their capacity and resources, if they're able to assist. That is what and then she goes on to say, the ambassador pointed out that the FBI had previously supported major investigations in Guyana, including the major secondary school dormitory fire, which claimed the lives of 20 children. Quote here, as you know, they came and they did a very thorough investigation after the major fire. They were instrumental in that. So we are happy to accept a request if that is what the government wishes to do. End of quote. The ambassador is saying that the U.S. government is happy to entertain a request if there is any government want. Obviously, the government didn't want that. They don't want to get to the bottom of this, and the question is why? Why they don't want to get to the bottom of it? Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to continue. CC, I have said two things there. Your comments, my brother.
Yeah, I just want to support you. Because from the initial information we got from that this man was actually working at nothing was superintendent or superintendent, just a low level force here. I don't know what it is.
We hardly hear you there. CC, let me stop you. You're very muffled there at this stage. So maybe you got to go closer to the phone or whatever. You're very muffled. You can hardly make out what you're saying. Try again.
Yeah, so they're saying that his hands got to be filled. Got to be filled because there's a whole lot of things he's got to do. You got to keep up with the brief. You got to talk to people, particularly the first responders in this homicide, and so many issues that you got to deal with. And the thing is, you know, that there's something your whole investigation big time. They didn't lock down the scene. They didn't interview. They didn't hold on people there that nobody could leave the place or enter. And they didn't take statement from people when the thing was fresh in their memory. Remember, when it was fresh in the memory, Kodik said the pool was cool, was clear, you see the bottom. And then afterwards, you stay in the same monkey. So they will lose a whole lot of good evidence because they didn't take the initial action. And the person is very dismissive. No, you done with it. You don't bring it up on there. Story done. We didn't know what secret deal they had with the man. We didn't know his tons of reference. And the area that he come in to assist. You know, his terms of reference. You know, and I don't know why the president shied away. That he doesn't want no one outside to come and deal with the matter. This thing is a homicide you're dealing with. The death of an innocent 11-year-old girl. And there must be no stone unturned to get to the bottom of it. But no, the president was after I bring somebody there, and that is the end of it. That is the closure. People need to make sure that the problem that no individual agency and perhaps I wonder how much money they're giving. How much money they're giving. Remember on that Tarek, 8 million US. This one was about 10 to 15 million US. Well, I get a lot of high money, you know, so they can afford. But then the president get a habit of dealing with a lot of secret deals without contacting the main stakeholders. The main stakeholders. So, what's going to happen? I'm not hopeful with what will come out of the investigation with this particular. I'm not hopeful at all.
Yeah, I know some folks are saying you're not hearing properly, get a lot of starting and thing. Well, you even listen carefully, you're going to make out some of the things that he was saying there. Now, you know, let me say this. One of the things, as I indicated earlier, there's a lot of photographic evidence. Enough. enough picture, enough video cameras from the, especially on the morning of the 24th of April. Enough thing. And that is why we say this thing needed a reputable agency to go through all of these things. All of these things should be gone through. And let me show you some photographs that I showed you on the last occasion. Let me show you look. We showed you this on the last occasion, right? You remember on class on Monday, we said this photograph shows this child who is said to have been the victim, Adriana, in the pool, standing in the pool towards the side. I made the point again. She couldn't drown in that area because she's standing there with others. She couldn't drown there. For those who are talking or who are implying or who are inserting negligence into this whole thing, look where the grandmother is. Look, another adult, clear line of sight of the children who are obviously there enjoying themselves, right? Have they sought to find out who these people are? Name and address and all them everything? Have they done that? I don't know. They are not saying, they're dumb. Next photograph. Again, same thing. Same thing. Clearly, you can't say that the grandmother, as that product of a traumatized sperm was implying that the grandmother must just go there and left them and God showed me. If you're sick, these people are sick. But look, the grandmother there. Look, another adult or several adults. You want to tell me that this child got drowned in this pool and none of them can see, forgot to rescue? The pool, I understand this is a shallow part, and then it come down here and swing this way to L shape. But the point is, you can see the whole pool, and if someone gets into difficulty, you ought to be able to see and be able to rescue the person. So to suggest that the girl died or the girl drowned in this pool because the pool deep and she got on right there and none of them will see is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The grandmother and these people were all there. And I'm saying again, if you see or if you know, for example, the man who drowned at Linden there last week or whenever it was, the thing was clear. The CCTV showed the man got into difficulty. You see, fighting up. That is what one would expect of someone who is drowned in. And if they're fighting up in this pool with all these people around, how come nobody can see? So all of them now coming to spin, right? Now, let me show you next video. Now, this is seen here. This is what we see here, right? This is what we're seeing here. Video number 3. Look, the child is a close-up. But look, a suspicious character. A suspicious character at the back. And they say he had towel over his right shoulder to appear, and what appears to be a cell phone in his left hand. Appeared to be videoing these children in the pool. That is what seemed to be happening there. Look, close up. Man stand up there, seem to be videoing. Now, why would an adult stand up at the side of the pool? Obviously, he got towel on his shoulder, so he ain't swimming. But he stand up there and he's videoing these children. Why would an adult do that? Why would an adult do that? Now, let me show you this one. Let me take out that. And the close-up of that same individual. Look at here. Have the police, and this is there for them to get, have they sought to identify who this person is? Because as an investigator, he immediately is a person of interest. He is a person of interest because he's there, apparently video recording these children in the pool. Who is he? What is he doing there? So I hope they give McClushan and all them things, them people, all of that. Who is this man who is standing at the pool, towel over his right shoulder? I'm sure that have they put out a wanted bulletin for him if they have not been able to identify and question him as yet? Have they done so? They're quick to put out wanted bulletin these days. Very, very quick. Who is the man? Who is the man? And then let me show you some other picture. I helping them, you know. I helping them by providing these pictures. There is a woman. Let me get it right. There's a woman who appears very frequently on this thing. This is the body of the child lying there. If you can see at this stage, they're gonna all mayhem. Veranda there, somebody up here in the veranda. Who is that person? Have they found out that? Look, this woman here. She appears several times in several pictures. Look her here again. Who is she? Is she a person of interest? Look her here again. Going up the stairs, passing this man with a claim is the man with the wet pants. Some people are saying that he's a policeman. Have all these people been held and questioned at length? Look at this woman again. Same woman. Very, very prominent at the scene of this thing. Look her here, coming out. Cap seemed to be put in a position to disguise or or face. Look, let me go back. Let me go back. I can do the police work for them, man. Look her there. Seems to be heading towards the upstairs of the hotel. Look, passing. And let me go back to this one, because in this case, she got on the cap. As we can see, almost covering her face. But when she passing this person who they claim is a police, the cap is removed from the head. Was that done so that the police can recognize and identify her and then allow her access? I don't know. But I'm saying any proper investigator would ask all of these questions. All these questions you're gonna ask. Look out there again, cap. Look her. Who is she? Who is she? Let me show you a next picture. I think this is the same one we showed you earlier. Look, woman passing this guy, and they're going. Have all these people been questioned? If you're doing a proper investigation, by now you have to know the name of all of those people. Because remember, in the first picture that we show you, this one, she is there when the body is recovered. She is there when the body is recovered. Yes, I've seen some other videos with her in the crowd and all of that. And as we can see, this time all this is going on. No fire and start or anything yet, you know. And then the woman heading up. This same woman here. Heading towards, it is said that this is going up the stairs to the hotel where the fire broke out later. All of that. So I'm saying that you have enough there for them to go through. A lot of videos, a lot of photographs are there. A lot of videos, a lot of photographs. I hope that by now, this incompetent police force at least would have been able to get the names of all those persons. All of those persons, and they would have been questioned in detail, even though now perhaps they would have get enough time to make up the story and all of that. As we said earlier, matters like this, immediately, from the time the Wednesday the child went missing, they should have locked down that hotel and make sure they get the names of everyone, whether it's a guest, whether it's a visitor, whether you are an employee, wherever it is, all of them they should get. And all should have been questioned immediately. I know it's a tedious process, but you have to bring your resources in. Bring your resources in. Question all of them. Because people might have seen something and would have been willing at that stage to talk. But by now, they're suffering like the one who did the video recording. By now, they're suffering from amnesia. They can't remember this, they can't remember that. One of the things I have said too, I'm going to repeat it here for emphasis, is that this investigation, a proper investigation, would require the use of polygraph. So all of them now who suffering from amnesia, polygraph them. And for those of you who know polygraph is like detector, polygraph them. All of them when they get cell phone, because you don't shower their cell phone overboard and all sort of thing because of the incompetence of the police, starting with the commander, the division commander Mandel, starting with him. They never did what was required to do, and I'm asking why. I believe that in a lot of cases it would have been due to downright incompetence, but in other cases, not only incompetence, it's collusion. It would have been collusion. It will be interesting. If I had been an investigator in this matter, I would have wanted to see what type of communication took place at specific times between the commander and maybe the commissioner and maybe politicians. I want to see that. I want to see question them, like how did they question Ikin at the Linden Commission of Inquiry when he denied speaking to the Minister of Home Affairs at the particular time. And when they check the record, they show that he did communicate with the Minister of Home Affairs. And when the Minister of Home Affairs was put in the witness box under oath, he admitted that Ikin did speak to him during a specific time that he said he did not. Perjury, because he was under oath, and nothing happened. Nothing happened, right? So all of that, and that's why again I say no unpick one man can do this thing justice. No unpick one man can do it justice. And as they and to address the issue about the jurisdiction, I think the U.S. ambassador answered that question. Because there was a program, I think on Sunday, where the question as to whether the FBI can come to go to a foreign country and do an investigation that does not involve an American citizen. Because the argument was, or the proposition was, that unless it's an American citizen involved in another country, that the FBI might not have the jurisdiction to go. But the U.S. ambassador debunked all of that because she said that FBI previously supported major investigations, plural investigations in Guyana, including the Madja Secondary School dormitory fire, which claimed the lives of 20 children. As you know, they came and did a very thorough job, their thorough investigation after the Madja fire. They were instrumental in that. So we are happy to accept a request if that is what the government wishes to do. That is what the U.S. ambassador said on Monday. And then the president come to say, to very dismissively said, well, that I have already done what I had to do. I have already done what I have had to do. Everything I committed to everything I committed to in this case, I have done. What I said I would have done, the political handlers are now at work aggressively. Let political handlers deal with what they want. Yeah, what they want to say. Let the political handlers deal with what they want. Let me see if we can get back Mr. Conway in. CC, I said a lot. Let me, you know, you're a little muffled and swam, but I can't give you the opportunity to come again, man.
Yeah, you know, this investigation calls for a lot of things taking work, a lot of meticulous work. They have quite a number of still photographs, quite a number of video presentations, and they got to get the experts to put some of these things together. You made a very good effort there, or excellent presentation with that woman there, where you show her in several places, you know, and that's what they got to do. And they need to question her. But the kind of lose the thing because they didn't lock down the place and they didn't hold people and get information from them, statement from them when it was fresh in their memory. And then that's the important thing, that person's got to be questioned left, right, and center. All the persons who were there, if they get photographs, publish their photographs because you publish a photograph of people who say criminals or who are identified criminals. You publish photograph of wanted persons, even persons who are put in prison and putting them that wanted. That it calls for investigation, and I think no one man can do it. It calls for agency to do the investigation and repeating that all the time. And it's meticulous work. It's painstaking work. There's a whole lot to be done. A whole lot to be done. The commander mess up the whole thing big time. And then I said, you know, administratively, I wonder who set him on administratively. According to Justice Corbyn in the document, it's only the Police Service Commission who could send him on administrative leave. So I know who sent him on, and then the present Police Service Commission is not fully constituted. And according to the ruling of the Honorable Chief Justice, they cannot perform any functions of the commission unless they're fully constituted, but they are there promoting a whole set of people, but nobody of them. So the thing is that people need to be questioned. I need to get everybody, left no stone unturned, let no stone unturned, get to the bottom of it, get to the bottom of it, but you need to have proper persons to investigate. Who leading the investigation from the police side? Is it Caesar? Where all sort of corrupt allegations is being made against him? Yeah. And if he's the person who leading the investigation, get the FBI, get the police people, get no, bring a man from your and pick a man. I know the whole the selection process, and you bring him to Ghana, right now in Ghana, and you bring him story done according to the present story done, you do what you have to do. And then blaming it on the political people. Is they interfere in the political in the operations of the Ghana police force from the president to the vice president to Secretary General to the prime minister and all of them who interfere in the operations of the Ghana police force. So the thing screw up and it take a horrible task to really come get down to the bottom of it. But I feel it could be done if you have competent people to right now the investigation isn't what it ought to be. But feel if you have competent people, people with patience, people who meticulous work, people prepared to do their hard work, you can get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Well said. And let me ask you to give your closing now because we're gonna wrap up and deal with it. So, your closing, CC.
Okay, I apologize for the technical difficulties that I've suffered. Perhaps it could be Pegasus at work, you know. You know, Pegasus could turn on your phone, could do all kind of things and I want to believe, Pegasus is at work. But I hope that, confident people will come on stream. And then I want to say also that my financial statement is that the investigation into the massive fraud in region number one has come to a standstill. And the department has come to a standstill. And portions are repeated portions, and these five portions in region one have asked to be removed from the region because they mentioned they get documentation that they receive money and they don't send for nobody money. 900,000, 500,000, 400,000, and a whole set of money that is fraud. The person who discovered the fraud has been transferred, and the person, the real person, the real person who committed the fraud is being protected, And then all this fraud made up, and the finance office is still there. There is a one man is still there. The excellence quarter isn't saying anything about the one fraud. It's massive and it's fraud and other things that I hope that. And also, I feel like I'm feeling again, I'm a Indian police who has to spend money $9,000 to buy the bikes that the police supposed to do them from a police stop on. They have got them funding the money and they transfer the back to the
I talk a whole lot of talking, so I talk to myself. I muted the mic while I was speaking to Mr. Conway, and it remained muted. So I'm saying someone asked the question whether the opposition can make the request, and I said no, because based on what the U.S. ambassador is saying, she said, as you know, they came and did a very thorough investigation after the March of Fire. They were instrumental in that. So we're happy to accept a request if that is what the government wishes to do. The government wishes to do. I don't know if also this Human Rights Association or anybody else can make a request, but based on what the ambassador is saying, the expectation is that the government has to make the request. So I don't understand why they, well, I do understand why they don't want to make such a request, because they are afraid, morbidly afraid of what a proper investigation might find. Let me repeat that. They are morbidly afraid of what a proper investigation may uncover. They want that. And as we say, they want closure. And the closure they want is for this child to be buried as quickly as possible. And then they're going to run back on the election campaign and as if nothing happened. But this is a distraction to them. They see it as a distraction. They don't see this as a death or the murder of an 11-year-old. They see it as a distraction. They want to be able to be there, dominate the airspace, and to tell you a whole pack of lies. That is what they want. But this Adriana Young thing ain't going away 3 weeks now. I ain't going away for just now. That is my prediction. It is not going to go away in a hurry. Even when this one man, this lone man, what they bring them out and say, well, he can come with some BS report. No, I'm not going to accept that. That is what I see. That is my view. And I'm entitled to my view. Because as somebody who identified this man out of Canada, a retired man out of Canada, how did they come to know of him? It has been alleged that is someone of the supporters of the Canada who know the man and say, this is a good man for the job. Right away, the man is compromised. Right away, what are his terms of reference? How much money he getting? That's a thing we need to know, because at the end of the day, it's we public money paying me. We should know all of that. How much he getting? I guess they put you up at some fancy hotel with all expense paid and all type of thing. And then they're going to come up with some report. They're saying he's assisting with the investigation. So is he expected to give an independent report? All of these things are not known. And then the president very dismissively, very arrogantly tell me, well, I do what I got to do. Y'all could do what y'all want to do. That's basically how I interpret that statement from the president when he said, I've already done what I had to do. Then he go on to say again, everything I committed in this case, I have done. What I said I would have done. Then he said, the political handlers are now at work aggressively. Let the political handlers deal with what they want. That is what the president is reported to have said on Monday. That is what is reported. Now coming to the next one tomorrow. You know the one? You know the other one tomorrow? You know the other one? You know the one that I'm talking about? The one was said, that is a mediocre liar. Look, a mediocre liar. Look. That thing, mediocre liar. Dr. Dexter Todd Esquire. Some award he get from something for what? He recognized that they're a criminal liar in Guyana who has specialized training. Let's encourage others. He said, JTC for his recognition award. Share this award with the Honorable AG of Guyana, who has recognized that there are few criminal liars in Guyana with the specialized training. So this is the mediocre liar, what the chap talk about. This is the mediocre liar. Why did they get things for put up? But they can put up things like the commissioner, you know. If you go in the King office, even before he became commissioner, you see what 1 million certificate. All them half an hour thing we been on, and all them things he put them up there. None of any consequence. And the one where he put up, I guess he put it up by now, saying that he's a MB. Let me find it, man. Let me find it. He got one that he put up. Yeah, must help me out, you know. I get a little old, sometimes forget these things. But he has one that he put up, right? That he get a MB something. MBA, nah? And they said the MBA that he put up is Mr. Brutus accomplice. That's the qualification he get. Mr. Brutus accomplice. I remember it now. That is what he has. Mr. Brutus accomplice. MBA. Right? MBA. Now, let me understand this. We had a lot of interruption today. I hope that I would have been able to do you justice, students. You know, I'm sorry Mr. Conway couldn't get in earlier. And then when he got in, he had a lot of issues. He had to get in with his phone. A lot of other issues. I believe he's going to try to resolve it. And I will talk to him. I will talk to him to see if we get it resolved. And if it is resolved, then maybe Friday afternoon we're going to come again. But we coming again 3 times for another week. If the problem is solved. I don't know if the problem is going to be solved. I hope some technical body intervene to try to help the teacher, Mr. Conway, resolve that issue. Let me hope that he can get it resolved. And I said if it is resolved, then Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, we're going to come so that Mr. Conway can get a little more button and we can go into some of these things in more detail. Folks, it has been a long morning. I talked till normally it was between the breaks. I could go and get me a little water for wet my mouth and thing, but this time around, I couldn't do that. I had to stay and butt. And I ain't showing y'all appreciation by giving me the thumbs up. Y'all ain't showing the appreciation. And I hope you will show it too in a tangible form by subscribing to the Zelle, the Cash App, the MMG. I hope you will do that. I hope you see the efforts that are made on your behalf to bring you credible, valuable information. I hope that you see that. I hope that you give me the thumbs up. I hope that you give a little tap up, as they would say. Give a little tap up. And folks, that will be all for this morning. You can't get no therapy now. You can't get no therapy. That will be all for this morning. Again, I ask you to stay safe. Stay safe, my folks. Rain falling in Guyana. The roads are dangerous at the best of time. And now that the rain is falling, it's going to get worse, I suspect. Be careful. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. So until we reach again, God spare life. Again, I ain't promising, but I'm saying that if we are able to resolve the technical issues encountered by Mr. Conway, we're going to come Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.